The Missouri Tigers this season were by far the most surprising and shocking team of the season. Most people, including major sport outlets, were projecting that Mizzou would finish between 5th and 7th in the SEC East and wouldn't make a lot of noise this season. Instead, Mizzou shocked the world, finished 10-2 and won against Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. Let's look in depth into this magical 2023 Missouri Tigers season. Mizzou was just coming off an up and down 2022 season where they had just lost in the Gasparilla Bowl to Wake Forest, and like I said, they were projected to not do so well in the bottom of the barrel of the SEC. And to start the season, they had two very bad wins against two very bad teams in South Dakota and Middle Tennessee State, and it looks like it was just going to be another season for the Mizzou Tigers. But the season would all change when in week 3, number 15, Kansas State, who was just coming off a Big 12 championship and also beat us really bad the prior season, came into town and played us. I forgot to mention I'm a Mizzou fan, so this season really means a lot to me. After a back and forth game, it came down to one final play, a 61-yarder for the win. This 61-yarder would be in the hands of our kicker, Harrison Mevis, aka the thicker kicker, who entering this game was one of the best kickers in the nation. So if there's a guy to do it, it would be him. So let's see the kick.
Looks like what we saw earlier on the long field goal attempt by K-State.
It is Brooks. Mevis kick on the way. It's good!
Harrison Mevis would kick and eat his way to a 30-27 Mizzou victory over 15th ranked Kansas State. And by the way, that kick was the longest in SEC history, and now Mizzou's season had totally changed. We somehow weren't ranked after that, but after our win that next week against Memphis, we were, as we were ranked number 23, and we were in the top 25 poll for the first time since 2020. However, the very next week, we'd lose to Heisman winner Jaden Daniels and number 23 LSU by 10 points in a game we very easily could have won. That would be a minor setback in an amazing season. Those next two games, we would destroy number 24 Kentucky, and that next week, we'd be back in the rankings at number 20, where we would destroy South Carolina. After that was our bye week, and then the first college football playoff rankings would come out, and they would put us at number 12, and this was big, especially since we'd be going up against number 1 Georgia that week. Against Georgia, we played pretty well. In fact, besides Bama, we were the best team Georgia faced all season. However, we would lose 30-21, but also, however, this was the last loss we'd have all season long. The next week, we would destroy number 13 Tennessee 36-7. That game catapulted us to the top 10, and that next week, we'd barely escape against a bad Florida team, and then the next week, we destroyed Arkansas at Fayetteville. By the way, I was at that game. It was so fun to see. A stellar finish at 10-2 and finishing in the top 10 place at number 9 set us up for our first New Year's Six bowl game ever against Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. But how come did such a team like Mizzou finish 10-2 and place in the top 10? Well, a big part was our quarterback, Brady Cook. Our quarterback situation entering this season was a big question mark, and it was one of the reasons why we were projected to be so low. In fact, our QB room entering the season was one of the worst in the SEC. But Brady Cook proved a lot of people wrong, as in 2023, he went for over 3,300 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions in his junior season. And I'm happy and proud to say that he's coming back for one more season. Next up is wide receiver Luther Burden. Entering 2022, he was a 5-star freshman, but he disappointed heavily, so expectations were kind of mixed from entering this season, but he turned out to be one of the best receivers in the nation, top 5 without a doubt, and arguably top 3. He finished the season with 86 receptions, 1,212 yards, which finished 9th in the nation, and 9 touchdowns. If we're on the topic of receivers that played well for Mizzou this year, let's not forget about Theo Weiss Jr. and Mookie Cooper, who were outstanding this year for Mizzou and were another big reason why, but they're not as good as Luther Burden. And then how could we forget about our running back Cody Schrader, who finished as one of the best players in college football this season. He came to Mizzou as a walk-on from a D3 school, and he worked his way up, and you see nothing more but as a practice squad guy. But he worked his way up into running back 1 in 2022 and 2023. He had the season of a lifetime, rushing for 276 attempts, 1,627 yards, and 14 touchdowns. He won the Burlsworth Award, which goes to the best walk-on player in college football, and he finished 7th in Heisman voting. Brady Cook and Luther Burden and the other receivers played a big part in Mizzou's success, but Cody Schrader is the main reason why we finished 10-2 and finished in the top 10. He's projected to go late round to the next draft, but whoever drafts him is going to find a diamond in the rough. They are the only players who had big impacts on this team this season. Cornerback Chris Abrams-Drain and linebacker Tyron Hopper were our best defensive players, and they're projected to go pretty decently high in the 2024 NFL Draft. But we also have to give props to our head coach Eli Drinkwitz, who entering the season was on the hot seat, but he ended up being the SEC head coach of the year. It was now time for the big game. December 29th, 2023, number 9 Missouri versus number 7 one-loss Ohio State. We win and we prove a lot of people wrong. We prove that this was more than just a Cinderella run, and we prove that we belong on top of the college football world. Also, it would put the cherry on top to a historic season. But entering the fourth quarter, it was an embarrassing 3-0 game, but we were on the doorstep of the end zone, and who better to give it to Cody Schrader for our first touchdown.
Game. And Missouri's on the doorstep. Inside the 5 and into the end zone for the first touchdown of the game is Cody Schrader.
9 minutes later, and we're on the doorstep again, and we've already got a touchdown with 1-star offensive player. How about we give it to another star offensive player?
Put this game away right now. 2nd down and goal, 13th play of the drive. Cook to the air, into the end zone, caught, and there's Luther Burden. Touchdown.
And just like that, we won the Cotton Bowl against a top 10 team and held them to 3 points. By the way, Brady Cook won Offensive MVP this game, and he did not deserve it at all. But if we're talking about next season, we're projected to do pretty well, and if you look at our schedule, I see possibly 2 or 3 losses here at most on the schedule. So I'm pretty excited for next season. We have some guys that are clearing for the drafts, but most guys are coming back like Brady Cook and Luther Burden, and I'm excited. I can't wait.